Hello, everybody out there in D&D land. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Before we jump into the action, first off, as you can see, we have a guest in this video. This is Leoni. You can refer to them as Leoni and Leoni. And if you want to look up any of Leoni's personal information or any of their personal dealings on the internet, you can check out the links. Just point anywhere on the screen, and that's where they'll be. Right there? Yep, apparently I'm doing that right now. Okay, cool. So yes. Tell us a little bit about who you are and, well, yeah.
Oh, I haven't done an intro in a very long time. Hello, everybody. As you can tell from the accent, I am British. And yes, my name is Leoni. I'm also known on the interwebs as Glass and Gadgets. I've been around the tabletop sphere now. I keep saying 4 years, and then I actually did the math. Coming up to 6. We're coming up to the 6th year this year.
Almost at 6 already? Wow.
Almost at 6. So yeah, I've been here a while. Yeah, I've been around, mostly producing. You might have seen me in a couple of shows, doing my paladin noble intrigue bullshit thing. But my main gig is producing. I am the producer of Into the Motherlands, which is powered by Cortex, which you may have seen, and also I am the Golden Stag of Goldheart Group, which is currently on hiatus. But watch this. We're busy. We're really busy.
Yes. And all of these graphics you're seeing on the side of the screen, everybody, all of these were crafted by Leoni, by hand, including the typical overlay that we use on my channel. So this is why we are interviewing right now, to make sure that we talk to the person who knows what they are doing. And as far as my research has yielded, by far the best overlay designer and production manager on the internet. Sorry, excuse me. You are behind Critical Role. I apologize. They have a multi-million-dollar budget. I think that's the only difference, though. So yeah, like,
I'm not yet behind. I'm not yet done anything Critical Role level, but you know, who knows what's going to happen in the future.
Considering remote use of the internet and the remote running of tabletop games, I mean, what you have achieved. I watched Into the Motherlands all the way through. It is the first show I've watched tabletop related outside of my own in 2 years, outside of Critical Role, of course. And it was phenomenal. Very, very slick, very seamless. And you would never realize just by looking at it that there was a manager behind the scenes because it was so seamless. You just didn't realize it was going on.
Yeah, the only time you really saw my presence is when someone's camera dropped out. We had an internet issue, and I'm just like there. It's also 2 a.m. I would like to pop out. So I'm like literally there in like a house coat. You know, got my hair scuffed, back, no makeup, just glasses, and I just realize I'm on camera, and I'm just like,
hi. Hello, camera. Yeah, unfortunately, those technical issues always do happen when you are working remotely on the internet. So yeah, it happens.
yeah,
but yes,
to the best of us.
all the time. But if you would like to support Leoni, you can check them out at any of the links. We will have them all down in the description below. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to hang out with us more. Check out some more content like this or any of the live games on our channel as well. So, first off, let's talk about the intention of this. I want to educate people a little better on how to set up a stream for tabletop games. As somebody who is not artistic when it comes to visual art whatsoever, it was by far the hardest task for me to achieve. Which, I mean, that's actually why I got in contact with you the first time. I was looking for a professional overlay, and somebody who was in a different show of mine once upon a time ago, they go by Kai, introduced me to Leoni, and yeah, I found and discovered everything, and that's why I consider you the authority on this. You've made 2 of my overlays right now. I know you said some things about the first one you made. I'll forgive it, but I thought it was really good.
I mean, I have feelings about the second one as well, so...
I think that's more of you. It's fantastic.
I'm an artist. I hate everything.
That's perfectly fair. I'm the same way with my voice. I hate listening to myself. It's tedious. It's horrendous.
I hate looking at my overlays, so...
It's fair. It's fair. So yeah, what would you say to somebody if they were wanting to get into the tabletop scene? You know, they got their camera, they got their microphones, they've set up with a good, trustworthy group. What would you say for their overlay? Like, how would you start in 2021? Let's go with hopefully for free or budget friendly.
Okay, so making an overlay for free, unless you're going to do some art theft or you're going to draw it yourself, you know, you're going to have to spend some money. I'm actually a big fan of like places like Shutterstock, just to get like base images that I can then chop up and do whatever I need to. So, you know, if you're not inclined to basically draw it yourself, you're going to have to buy some base materials. And I say buy, don't go to Google and Google Gothic frame, because you're going to end up stealing someone's work, and that's bad.
Yeah. Stuttershock is a really good site, though. You got me turned on to them, and I've been utilizing them in some of my other projects that haven't been released yet. Yeah, a little foretelling. But anyways, yeah. Go ahead.
So you're going to have to start somewhere there. And also, you know, you need to think about, I always think about overlays like pages of a book. You have a beginning, middle, and end of a stream. So in the beginning, you know, how do you want to present that? In some shows, you know, you have the like wait screen where everyone's coming in, there's a countdown so you know you're getting ready. You know, sometimes I like to make that animated because it's a little bit eye-catching. But you don't have to, just, you know, a very beautiful image will do. You can even put animations on top. You don't even need to animate the image itself. You just layer it on in your streaming video process of choice. And then after that, you know, sometimes I like to paint intros. Sometimes I've made actual full animated intros that introduce characters, and we've got some like theme music and stuff. And either you open up to the entire cast or you open up just the DM. And those are two different separate pages. You do your intro, you do your spiel, you might shout out your sponsors if you have any. And one thing you definitely need to think about, and this doesn't need to be an afterthought, it needs to be built into your overlay, is captions. We need captions in 2021.
Yes.
I am not hard of hearing. I just have problems, especially when pictures are about this big. I like looking at people's faces when they speak. It helps me understand what they're saying, because outside noises just disrupt things. So, like, you could be talking, and then I know my partner moves something in the bedroom, and because there's that moving noise, my brain concentrates on it and just completely mutes you out. And then I go, oh no, what was said? I can just flip my eyes and go, oh yeah, captions, that's what happened, cool. And I can still keep up to everything.
Yeah.
So you need a space for captions. And then everything else is pretty much window dressing. Some people like to have subs or alerts or latest follower or donation goals or anything like that. That's all window dressing. It's not a necessity at all.
Right. Yeah, you shouldn't be worried about all of those things from the get-go. I definitely agree with that. I wish somebody would have told me that back when I started all of this. What was it, 2016, 2017? Something like that? Yeah, and my display was riddled with all of those things. We had Twitch chat, which that's a terrible idea. Don't put Twitch chat on your stream if you're doing tabletop games. You may trust your community, but anybody can pop in, so you really want to be careful with that until you have some really strong, good moderation happening. Even at that, I highly recommend you don't do that. But yeah, being conscientious about how much you litter your page with, and I do use that word intentionally. I've noticed the more slick, the more clean, and the more directly informative an overlay is, the much more attracted I am towards it. I mean, it's very common for people who look at Twitch streamers who stream games, who have all that stuff on there, and think, oh yes, I'm doing tabletop, I'm going to do the exact same thing. But you've got up to, you've got 3 to 8 people on a screen. You don't need all that stuff. And when you really think about it, 1080p isn't a lot of space. It isn't a lot of space to play with. So just, strip that all back. And
And in terms of where you want your camera placement, well, as you can see from the images circling around wherever they are around here, I've done all sorts. I've had them on the left, I've had them on the right, I've had them up, I've had them staggered, I've had them in a little circle. It really depends on you and your aesthetic. Each one of those had their own place in my creative journey, and obviously for the show that they were ran for. But I wouldn't say that there is a system that is better than the others. I definitely wouldn't say that there's a system better than the others. Some people prefer the DM to be bigger or like center point, because usually that is the person that does the most talking typically. I mean, unless I'm DMing you, then I should be saying the less, and it's everyone else that should be talking.
Right. Which, that's a independent situation, so like, that's understandable.
That's a personal style choice. But yeah, there isn't any rhyme or reason. I usually just put cameras wherever I like, and then you've got your pause screen. I sometimes put my chat on my pause screen because it's a little bit more interesting to look at than just like an animated or a static image. And then you've got your end screen, and your end screen I also use as my double up for my YouTube end screen, because it's got the credits of every little shout out of everyone that supported us and everyone who mods us, and and then I usually leave some space for the YouTube buttons for when it goes up on YouTube.
I mean, not to mention, brand recognition is a major thing. I mean, not when you're first starting out. Figure out who you are before you focus on that branding. But like me, I use my song, my personal little jingle that I commissioned a long time ago, in everything that I do. You'll be hearing it right now in the background, but that is brand recognition. My brand is vocal. My brand is very animated about what is going on with the descriptions and things like that, and mood oriented. That's why my branding is focused on a noise. So it makes perfect sense that you would have like that same end screen as your YouTube video and your overlay, because like that is the majority of who you are as a brand. At least when I think about Leoni, I go art. Like I just go amazing artwork, really good.
And antlers.
And antlers, yes, but those are, that's everywhere on you as well. So branding.
There's even some antlers right here. Like I've got antlers on everything. I like deer, what can I say?
I mean, hey, everybody has a thing, I like Pokemon. Like,
which one's your favorite Pokemon?
That would be Pupitar.
I don't know what that one is. I'm sorry. I'm like of the red-blue generation. I put Shield.
I was really close. I was second generation with Pupitar, Tyranitar. But the little, the blue bug-shaped one. It's Larvitar, the little green creature with the horns on its head. That's super adorable.
Okay, yeah, I know that one.
And then Pupitar. That's my favorite.
Okay.
The one that looks like Cocoon, but it's blue and more like solid and slick. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's always been my favorite. I've loved that entire series. It's like, oh, Larvitar is so adorable. And then Tyranitar, you're like, that guy will fuck me up. And it's like, yeah. So Pupitar. But yes. Anyways. So placement, do you think there's anything based off the mood of the game that would dictate different placements? I know you said, like, for you think your display should be smaller because in your games it's, I've noticed, mostly focused on the player interaction more than anything else. So like having them be the focal point on your overlay is an amazing thing. Whereas for me, I'm one of those people, the GM has to be the largest on the screen because I am an animated GM. I mean, I do all my own voices, I do all of that jazz. So like I put the focus on myself. But if I had a cast of individuals playing with me, I think maybe equal. I mean, do you think like mood placement or theme placement is an actual thing, or did I just make that shit up and blow it out my ass?
No, not at all, because there's also different styles. I mean, when we talk about tabletop streaming, it's different from private games, first of all, and it's very different from Critical Role. You'll find this out when you go into it. If you think you're going to do Critical Role, you're not going to do Critical Role.
Never.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry, you're not. I know that's what you're aiming for, and that it's good to have a dream, but it's going to be work and a lot of money.
Honestly, I would say anybody in the tabletop scene, aspire to be like Cypher of Tyr, or Arcadum. Like,
Mm.
those are good goals to set for yourself. Critical Role they are a production. They are not just a tabletop stream.
Yeah.
It is vastly different. But yeah, go ahead.
So, you've got people who stream themselves playing at a table together with maps and minis. That's a whole different stream from saying someone who is playing on Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds, who is all about, the tactics and mechanics and rules as written. And then you've got people like me who are all about the character interaction and the character stories. And then we've got people like you who's all about the theatrics and the DM and the whole kind of thing. So it's all about finding out who you are and who are the people that you're playing with, because you'll see, I don't know if you put it in there, but in the one there was one called Hour of Lycia, and in of Hour Lycia, that was not a game that I did, that was a game run by someone else, but it was an overlay I made, and we've just got like a bar of 6 because it was a very cooperative game. No one was really in charge. So yes, there was a facilitator, otherwise known as a DM or a GM, but there was going to be some like reference images popping up and some pictures of NPCs and stuff. So,
and that does show up. We're looking at your overlay directly from your personal website, which is in the description below if you want to click on that and check her out. Or check Leoni out, sorry.
It's okay. So that one was very, so that one, had visuals going with it, which was just artwork, but you could also do visuals, say, with Roll20 and a map. And if you're going to have a map, then you're going to want to have that the majority of your space, because no one's going to want to watch your faces talking about combat. This is just my personal feelings about it. Please don't flame me for them, but combat is probably one of the most boring things about D&D in particular. Roll to hit, do I hit? No, I roll the AC. It's boring.
Yeah.
Boring for me. So, the map is interesting because you've got all those pictures. Some people go ham with their maps. Some people have like their own little custom icons. You can special effects now, line of sight. So if you're gonna have a map, and then have your map be the main thing, and then just tiny little pictures at the bottom, just in case anyone dies. And then if anyone does die and you have a little RP scene, quickly swap it to just be all the characters' faces, because that's a moment for the characters and they're going to be feeling it. Everyone's going to feel sad that they've lost their comrade. The person's going to be gutted that their favourite character that they've been playing for weeks has just died. You're going to want those emotions on your screen. And that's whenever you're building an overlay, and this is probably the best tip I could ever give you, is think about the person who is watching and how you can keep their attention on the screen all the time. That's probably the best tip. So if you're going to be doing something that's a little bit mind-numbing like combat, make the combat page really, really interesting. And what is interesting about combat? Maps, tactics. Put the focus on that. Maybe you have stats that pop up. There's ways to do that, especially with D&D Beyond now. Coming into it, so Roll20 roles and all of that. Think about your audience, because at the end of the day, you're not putting on a show for yourselves, you're putting on a show for an audience, and you have to think about your audience in terms of your overlay.
Yes, and one thing I will jump in and say is, before anybody wants to flame Leoni for the opinion on maps and combat, I am a professional dungeon master who has run games for more than 70 people at this point, and I currently run for a community of 33 people. Combat is the most boring aspect of D&D, on average between all of them. Now, that might change for specifically you, but as a whole, the community itself prefers role-playing. So if you're going to flame anybody, flame at me, because I'm telling you, you're wrong as a whole. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's I love combat. I really do, because I'm that animated GM. I'm the person narrating what the monster is doing, what the battle scene looks like, how the decapitation happens, all of that fun stuff. But it is so much more boring than the story. Like, the story is so much better.
Yeah.
Or it at least can be if you put in that extra effort.
Definitely.
But yeah, I agree with all of that. One thing I will put in, though, is if you are a new streamer, and you're working off of a budget, say you don't have a Stream Deck, however, there is the Stream Deck app that you can get for free. Highly recommend that you can check that out. Don't worry about the transition screens to start. Just get yourself set up with your base, everything, because you want to be in the moment, as you're probably going to end up being the GM. I don't know what it is. Usually the person who runs the game runs the show. It's almost like we have a personality type.
No, don't do that. Okay, so I now completely refuse to both DM and produce. I'm like,
Really?
I refuse now. I refuse. You either get me as a producer or you get me as a DM. You can't have both. Which is kind of why Descent into Avernus hasn't come back yet.
You know what? That's fair.
I'm not doing it because there is so much going on.
Yeah.
I want to either give 100% to my producing or 100% to my DMing. I don't want to do 50-50. So yeah, when you start, you'll probably be the forever producer or the forever DM. But try not to, if you can. I promise you, your stress levels will be so much easier. You will eat a lot less snacks.
I can agree that my stress levels are astronomical because I do both 7 days a week. Or not 7 days a week, 7 times a week. I only work 5 days a week, technically, kind of. But yeah, I agree with that. However, like, if you are going to be doing both of them, focus on setting yourself up for it to look wonderful and beautiful. And I would even say maybe forego the map unless you're one of those Roll20 savants who knows everything about the maps, does the quick transitions, add in all of the cool dice rolls and all of that stuff. Like, if you're doing that, that is your show production while GMing. So, I mean, have fun with it. But, like, probably forgo that. I think that would be a good tip. Like, forgo all of the swift transitions if you're just starting. Also, one thing I do want to have a conversation with you about. GMing for a show or just a game. Personally, I stream all of the games that I run. They're not shows. I tell everybody they are not shows. This is a pay-to-play community that I run. They pay me to be in the games. We stream it as a secondary outlet just because they enjoy having, you know, interactions with chat and stuff like that. And also, it's a wonderful archive for them to just look at what happened. They can listen to a recap instead of being super attentive with notes, so they can be present inside of the experience. Do you think there's a place for people to just go out and say, hey, we are only doing a game. This is not actually a show. This is meant for our personal enjoyment, compared to this is a show, this is a production. We want this for the audience. We want this for the crowd and everybody else.
Okay, so it's going to come down to this age-old conversation that we've been having in the community for all the years I've been here.
Yep.
Do you want to make money or not? Some people go into streaming because they think they're going to make money out of it. You're not going to make money out of it if it's a game. You're going to make money out of it if it's a show.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
But if you're just doing it because you're just like, hey, I just want to stream, if people turn up and have fun with us and we can have fun with them, then you do you. There's just like there's no wrong way to play D&D, there's no wrong way to stream, basically. But if you're going out there to make money, which, by the way, is the wrong reason to do it. If
you're in this for the money, please don't. It's so, I mean, I have a fraction of the talent that Leoni has and other people in this space. And I think I'm by far one of the luckiest people in tabletop that at my viewing count, I have a career. It's next to impossible.
I do it part-time, and I have a very decent viewing.
Yeah.
But I think Goldheart, in all the things, has only had like 2 or 3 payouts.
Right. And like
in its entire history.
And some of our games got up to like 70, 80 viewers, at least for Descent into Avernus. Like, we sat there with 70 or 80 people in chat and like hanging out, talking, interactive. Like, that is the top 5% of Twitch at that point.
In the TTRPG sphere, especially. If you get more than like 5 viewers in TTRPG, if you hit 30, you're like top tier. I know you see like places like the D&D channel, Critical Role, Roll for It, all those big channels with like hundreds. That's not the norm. They are well established productions.
Yep.
But in terms of us smaller streamers, you know, we sit at like 10 to 30. And the average is 5. So if you get more than 10, you're doing great.
I am super excited whenever I see 13. I'm like, yay, people are here, cool, let's hang out. You know, like, it's super exciting. So yeah, if you are looking to do this to immediately start making money, I totally agree with you. Reevaluate what you're doing, reevaluate why you want to do that, and maybe find a different avenue. I mean, you can make money in the tabletop space. Streaming is not the easiest.
Not the easiest or the most lucrative, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, if you learn how to be a showrunner, those bigger shows, yeah, they need people to do that. Like, they absolutely do.
Can confirm, as now a paid producer.
Right? Yeah. Like, I've produced shows and I've never been paid for it. Leoni, way better. But if you have that skill set, you have that talent, you have the tools and the resources, you can make your living in that space as a whole. But there's also product development. If you can play test things with groups, there's so many other avenues if you want to make your living based off of tabletop. Streaming, honestly,
low on your list. Put it really low on your list.
Yes, do it because you love it, and then if you are successful, celebrate. But do not go in here thinking that you'll do this. I mean, I'm 5 years in, and I'm still at like 13. Like,
I mean, I'm 6 years in. I've taken a break. God knows what's going to happen when I come back.
Oh, you're going to jump up to 80 immediately. Come on, let's be real.
I mean, I'm thinking a Magical Girl show is going to be our big launch. So
I mean, that's going to be fun. I'm excited. Anything you put on, I'll be excited. But yeah. So know what you're going in for before you do this. If you want to put on a production, put on a show, do it. Please do it.
Have fun.
Yes.
Producing has been the most rewarding thing that I have picked up and learned. You know, you get all into the nitty-gritty, and you know, once you get past the learning curve of like overlays and placement and keeping it interesting, you start to get into like narrative and planning, and because you know, you actually have to plan the show. You can't just wing it every episode. It doesn't work that way. Not even Critical Role wings it, but that is not scripted. No. But it's definitely got plans.
It may be a little scripted at some points. I mean,
okay.
That's a conversation we'll save for Reddit threads. Okay. I don't want the critters to attack me now. That's I am a critter, please. Just
you know, it's not all improv. And people that think that we can just go and stream improv, it doesn't always work. And you know, once you start getting into audio and lights and costumes, do I enjoy good costumes? Start dressing up for your stream.
That gives me a great little portion. Talking about audio and lights, the previous 2 videos to this one you can check out. It's in the same playlist, where I go over how to start up with your camera using your phone as your dedicated camera if you would like to do.
I'm going to be watching that one, so.
Yeah. And how to get your audio set up to sound like mine. Or better, even, if you end up using a better microphone. I do go into why I use this microphone in particular compared to 5 others on the list that I really liked. But yeah, check those out as well. Sorry. I have to plug when I can.
Plug away. It's your space. I'm just here hanging out.
Which I'm appreciative for. That's nice. Thank you.
No worries. I wasn't doing much. I was just making jewelry. So that's the difference between a game and a show. If you want to put on a game, have the best fun with you and your friends. If you want to put on a show, then go put on a show. And have great fun learning all the differences and interacting with your audience and growing that fan base, and you know, making emotes based off inside jokes. That is all great. Just don't expect to make money from it.
Absolutely, and that's something very important for people to realize. I can't agree more with that statement. Aside from that, I'm really curious because looking at all of these different overlays that you have, they're all completely different. Where do you grab your inspiration from typically? Because like I'm one of those individuals, like when I'm doing something, I need to hyper fixate and focus on one thing of that, and I stay consistent towards that very, very, very much. Where what you're doing is completely adaptive and different for everything. Like, where do you find that inspiration?
So do you remember when you commissioned me, I asked you for a song?
Yeah?
And you gave me your
My jingle.
Your jingle.
Yeah.
Which is playing in the background.
Yeah.
I had that on loop.
Which reminds me, I need to add that in. So.
I had that on loop the entire time. And when I make shows, or I'll talk about the overlays and then I'll talk about title screens, because title screens are a little bit different.
Okay, yeah.
So when I make overlays, I'm listening to the song on repeat, and I'm the type of person that will listen to the same song 3 days straight, just on loop. If it captures a certain, because songs have colors and feelings, and colors have meanings, and so I usually have a song. If you give me a song that has a meaning, I then kind of convey that into an image. And so with Waterdeep Dragon Heist, which is probably the overlay I have redone and done again and done again.
This one right here.
And redone and done again. We went through different phases because we were a big production, then we shrunk down, then we were very intimate, then it got all then the show went very theatrical, and then we went into Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and the group got smaller, and we had a map, and it was all very claustrophobic, like we were underground. But there was theme song. I picked theme songs for each show that I've done, and I just literally play those to death until the overlay's done, because it helps me convey the feelings of the show into an overlay. In terms of title screens, which is you're popping up right now with like A Date with Death and stuff.
Yep.
Those are usually someone will give me some images, and I tend to go with iconography quite a lot. So in terms of like Descent into Avernus, obviously we've got that beautiful artwork from Rune.
That is incredible. Yeah.
And then we've got that like demon with the archaic circle, and obviously you know that Descent into Avernus is about going into hell. So we have that circle, the demon looming over the group, but the group is a central focus. I used and recreated the Baldur's Gate logo from the Baldur's Gate games, because it's Baldur's Gate. Everyone knows who's ever played Baldur's Gate, whether it be 1, 2, or 3, has been there. Even though the 3 hasn't got to Baldur's Gate yet, but I'm sure they will eventually. Curse of Strahd, it was all about ravens, and so you've got that's actually one of my most favourite ones, even though it's so ancient. Probably one of the first ones I ever made, but it's a shame it's flashing forward so quickly. But it's actually I got a gothic castle, and then I got an outline of one raven, and then there's like ravens flying off the side, and then actually in the middle is a misty woods, because that's what you think when you think of Ravenloft. And then Date with Death was just kind of fun. I found this great artwork on Shutterstock of this like death character. And it was kind of like a weird Korean ghost hunting Meet Joe Black show. So we had the psychedelic circles. It was very fun. And then with Waterdeep, we had the emblem of the city dungeon of the Mad Mage. We had like the skulls and the death, because it's the very famous dungeon. So I tend to go with like symbolism and iconography. The Sonatic Drift title screen, which I think is the last thing I made you.
Yep.
Sonatic Drift, sorry.
Synodic Drift. It's a pun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, synodic.
I quite right the first time.
Yep. Come on, it's me. Of course it has to be a pun.
You and your puns. But, I actually knew, because a lot of your cast was my cast.
Mm-hmm.
And they were so excited for the game. I was actually hearing so many stories about it.
I stole them.
You did steal them. I lent them to you.
Yeah, I know. Wonderful people.
Well, they are wonderful people.
Yeah.
But, I heard a lot about the show, and I heard how it's like jumping from island to island, and there'll be some intrigue, and it was like a bunch of misfits. And so we made this like beautiful blue and pink sea with this like dreamy ship because I just kind of wanted to really put in there the kind of like dreamy feelings that I was getting from all the players that were talking to me about how excited they were for this game. So when you said you needed a title screen, I was just like, leave it with me. I'd already got artwork then. This turnaround I ever did, I think I had that with you same day after you asked, wasn't it? Or like the next day?
3 days. It was 3 days.
It was 3 days.
Yeah,
okay.
I contacted you right before you were going into mid-season for Into the Motherlands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're like,
okay.
Give me a few days. I was like, all right, I'll give you 2 weeks, and then 3 days later. Okay.
Okay, yeah, so then probably what happened is you caught me just as I finished Motherland. I need 2 days to recover, and then since I recovered, I made it.
Yep.
But yeah.
It was
so
that Monday, so for you, still Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't even probably gone to bed when you sent me that message. So, yeah, and then I'm dead for 2 days.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of like how title screens happen. And overlays. Yeah, there's a theme song. Usually people commission me. I'm like, give me a theme, give me a song you like. If no one provides me a song, I have playlists that I make that just convey moods. I don't recommend anyone commissioning me right now. I'm in a very Asian mood. So I'm going to end up with something probably very heavily Asian inspired.
I mean, unless that's what they're looking for, but yeah, no.
Unless that's what you're looking for, then totally hit me up because I'm the best for it.
Always check Twitter. You post when your DMs are down, right?
No, my DMs are always open.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I've got tools that filter stuff out, so I'm not that worried about random messages or terrible people. But it's not.
I got a couple of those already, and yay!
You know, we'll talk tools because yeah, I've got this great thing at the moment. Just it makes reply guys disappear into the nether, and I never have to see them.
Nice. See, I'm on the other end of that spectrum where like I want those people to contact me so I can reach out to everybody I know and be like, hey, this is what these type of people are. You can ban them before they attack you, and that's me. That's how I handle situations.
I just put them into a folder. They're not even worth looking at. Yeah.
Oh, fair. But yeah, so it sounds like you more narrate for your overlay and your starting screens the scene where everything is taking place more than anything else, the atmosphere, the type of region. So you focus more heavily on that, it definitely looks like and feels like whenever I'm watching. But also somehow you manipulate it in a way where it's simple but incredibly complex. Because I look at mechanically what you do and I'm like, but how do you find that balance where like somebody has an epic game, an epic story, gonna reach level 20, they want that incredible feel, but like your overlay still looks so focused on the important aspect, which is the storytelling itself, not the art in the back.
So you don't want your overlay to overshine your people, obviously. So that's why when you look at my overlays, they're usually either silver or they're gold, because silver and gold are wealth. They're what you're out to do. They are also the symbols of divinity. They are also the symbols of royalty. They are the symbols of growth. They are also the symbols of heaven, depending on your religion. So I use a lot of gold and a lot of silver in my work, because usually everyone's telling an epic story. Green is the color of youth and fresh. It's also the color of trustworthiness. Red is the color of passion or anger or evil. You can convey a lot with color and shapes. I mean, I tend to like go with filigree, because filigree's, it's interesting to look at than just a normal square box. I'm not throwing shade at the overlay that I made for you at all.
I mean, it's fair. I like my sparkle. It goes across.
Yeah. So that's another way to, like, when you animate a box, it's just square on the box, but then someone's doing something, they're over here, they're petting their cats, they're talking to their partner or their children or whatever, and then just in the corner of the eye they see a flash and they look back, and that's like another way to just capture someone's attention again.
So
So
before anything else, just to explain the whole animation thing, because this is an incredibly daunting thing to people like me who aren't aware of how to do all of this. We say animation, this is an MOV. It's a movie. It's an animated sequence that I think you could set up in After Effects or something. There's free services out there on the internet as well you could utilize, but pretty much you just make that shine, this shine, that shine, moving across. I figured out and broke down like how to do it, but this is literally an MOV that you add to your stream overlay that it does this. If you keep all of the times in sync, it does the synchronized shimmer that you are seeing, but you can distort it and do other things like that just by being more creative and interacting with it. It's a really, really cool thing that I hadn't figured out until about 2 months ago. Keep in mind, I've been doing this since 2016.
so I all my animations are done in After Effects from hand, just because I know how to. I mean, when I was growing up, the internet was new. We had something called Adobe Flash. I learned how to animate on Adobe Flash. To be honest, After Effects, it's just Flash. They look the same to me. So, you know, instead of using actions, I'm now using script or plugins. Like, that's the difference now. So I've been doing this since I was 8 years old, because my stepfather was a multimedia designer. We had this stuff in our house. I played with it for fun instead of going outside and climbing trees, because I used to climb trees. And then I discovered computers, and I was like, hey, fake trees. Yeah, but I've been like, yeah. You know, I've been doing this stuff for a long time, and so I know how to do it. But you know, there's YouTube videos on how to like do stuff in After Effects if you want. And like if I don't know how to do something, I can usually find a YouTube video that tells me how. Yeah. But yes, but animations is like way down your career, like over there. Like if you're just starting out, don't start out with animation. There are beautifully animated overlay packs that you can buy from those Twitch streamer websites.
Streamlabs equivalent, insert here what this thing is.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're quite bulky in my opinion. I've grabbed a few to have a look. And I'm like, I really like this set. Let me grab hold of it and break it down. And then I get hold of them. They are absolutely massive. And if you, like, say you bought one of those to use on a TTRPG stream, you've got 6 players, you've got that bulky animated camera, 6 times, your rig isn't going to handle it.
Yeah.
My rig, I've spent many years, lots of money on it, also can't handle it. It's not healthy for it. So, you know, making it yourself is probably the easiest way. Keeping it simple, also very, very easy. You don't need to do anything too dramatic to your animation to make it eye-catching. Like, I think the very first animation I ever made was for Curse of Strahd, and it was that title screen, and I found a alpha of flying birds, and I just had white flying birds flying across.
Oh, that was so nice.
It was back in the day, one of them years ago.
I really miss Curse of Strahd, not gonna lie. I was a cast person on that show.
You were.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just had some. That was like the very first animation I did, and you know, it wasn't until Waterdeep that I did a full animated overlay. But then again, I made my animation pieces still. So like, if I was going to animate a background, it would just be the background. So Sent into Avernus has an animated 4K background, but the screens are static because you don't want animated background and then animated screens. It's a little bit too busy, in my personal taste. I'm still not throwing shade at that overlay.
It's okay, I'll take it. I differ a little, very little bit. I very small difference between our two beliefs with this. Yeah. I think but, you know, having more simple is good. If that is what you need to make it look like that. Because, I mean, my animated background is obnoxious compared to what I see on everybody else's. But I love it so much because, like, no matter how many times you look at it, there's so many small things that you don't realize are there and it's not supposed to be the attention of everything that's going on. It can just be in the background, and it's animated enough just to captivate you.
I mean, even though I completely disagreed with it, I still tried I still, went at it. I added all those silly little details like the flowers on the Fae portal, and the little moving rippling fog on the other one.
So another thing that I discovered very recently, I think it is Vimizi is the website. If you credit them in some things that you do, you can actually use a lot of their assets for free. Like right now on the overlay, I have a snow effect. Now this is unedited, unfiltered. I added one filter to take off the green screen background for it, just because I wanted to sit on top of everything. And you can just add that stuff to your overlay to set different moods and everything. It is a really cool addition I recently started doing, where I have fog that ripples across the screen on top of everybody. And like, you can do so many fun, unique things with simple things like that, that I really think a showrunner with this capability is going to have a field day.
So
the
I did
GM,
exactly
it's
the same
unnecessary.
yeah, it's completely unnecessary. But I did exactly the same thing for Descent into Avernus on our title screen, because obviously we had that image, and then I found I actually found a video of a dark sky and someone filming ash and smoke, and then just with like a couple of little filter tweaks and color tweaks, I managed to like completely wipe that out and just have the ash and the flames. It actually felt like you guys were getting a bit hot-footed in hell. So there's really simple things that you can do that won't burn out your computer to make it look interesting.
So that's actually something I wanted to ask you about, because you are way more technically knowledgeable than I am. I consider myself, entry-level understanding of computers. I know enough to take them apart and break them 50% of the time. So what would you suggest somebody who's looking to start streaming, computer-wise, hardware-wise, what would you suggest they focus on for specs?
CPU and RAM.
Okay. The graphics card doesn't matter that greatly?
The graphics card, this is the mistake that a lot of people make, and I'm actually going to clarify this now. In OBS and slopes, there is this setting where it says NREC codec, and there's two options, and I can't remember what that is because it's been a while. But one of them means, you go look. One of them means run my overlay off my graphics card, and one of them means run my overlay off my CPU.
Oh, I actually can't change it right now. Because I'm streaming. I'm recording.
Because we're recording. It's fine. But we can come back and revisit this.
I'll input it later.
There'll be like little notes above that says, "Oh yes, this is what Leoni was talking about."
Yep.
One of them says run off your CPU, and one says run off your graphics card. Now, a lot of people actually use the codec that runs off their graphics card, which is perfectly fine if you're a game streamer. But if you're a TTRPG streamer, come off your graphics card and use your CPU, especially if you've got a meaty CPU, and you're going to want a meaty CPU, because you have all that raw processing power, which are divided into
threads.
Yeah, threads. Thank you. And the more CPU power you have, the more you can multitask. So if you've got 6 tiny camera screens, you've also got 2 windows open, you've also got a bot open, you've also got Streamlabs open, and you're also sending that up to the thing. The only thing your graphics card needs to do is render the quality of the camera and the output and the videos, and you've got less stress on your actual graphics card. So usually when you see people having animated overlays and you see it juttering and they're streaming a game, it's usually juttering and streaming a game because they're, your GPU is only going to do so much, but your CPU is the one that needs to do the heavy lifting because it's there. And if you're streaming and you're doing your thing and you look at your streaming, it's only using 10%, you're not stressing your computer enough. You want it at least in that nice 30 to 45%.
So
mark.
I can add more, is what you're saying?
You can add more. Like, I would say 50% is probably like your cutoff line. But if you're just sitting there and you're just like, but are you streaming off your graphics card or are you streaming off your?
I fear that I have not changed it, so I'm probably streaming off my graphics card.
Okay, so change it onto your CPU and see what's going on there. But you'll probably see a better visual. Like, the reason why I bring this up is because you have people around the world. I think it's called latency. If you're streaming in the UK like I am, and you've got someone in West Coast America, and then you've got someone in Australia who's also watching. I don't know how this magical timeline thing would happen, but say it happens. Say these people are up at ridiculous hours watching your show.
Insomnia. Go ahead.
Yeah. You've got those special insomniac people, and they're watching your show. The further you are away from the streamer, the more latency you're going to get, the more audio issues you're going to have, the more visual dropouts you're going to have out. That's why my streams never have technical issues, because we've got the GPU free there to do all the rendering for us, but the CPU is doing all the heavy lifting, which is the best way to produce, in my opinion. Some people disagree with me on this, but I've been doing this a long time. And, I got very upset when I had that slubbed error that wouldn't let me change the codec, and I was forced to be on my graphics card.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the difference, and I heard the difference, and I had more complaints in chat about, oh, is the audio just in front of it? Oh, is the graphics? Oh, it's all pixelated.
And it changed as soon as you switched over?
And it's changed as soon as I switched over. You have less latency issues
so
when you put more juice out.
What specific stats should they be looking at if they want to, get themselves into this space of tabletop streaming? Obviously, right now we have 7 different things happening on this screen, which is next to nothing. My typical screens, I have well over 60 assets on it. I also have a beast of a computer that you don't fucking need unless this is your professional job or hobby and you want to splurge. But like,
okay, so my first streaming computer, we're gonna put this into dollars, was about $650.
5 years ago, 6 years ago, that's actually really good.
Yeah, I built it myself, so I had the cheapest case I could find because it had great airflow. To be honest, it was just all holes. Like, it wasn't even a case; it was just holes.
I spent $30 on this case. The person tried discouraging me. They're like, "Dude, it's like twice the size of what you need." I was like, "That's perfect. It breathes." Like, yeah,
it was the cheapest case. Like, you could have looked at it sideways, it would have crumbled. If it ever dropped, it would have been the worst thing. Corsair PSU, because my partner told me that I had to have a Corsair PSU, and I was like, okay. I don't remember what NVIDIA graphics card I had, but it wasn't top of the range. It was mid-range. It was very affordable.
6 years ago, we're looking at the 10 series, aren't we?
Yeah, I still got a 10 series. I got a 1070 right now. GTX 1070, so. The GTX 1070 Ti. So I'm just remembering what my actual specs are.
No worries. Actually, that is for the standards nowadays, that's a really low-end graphics card. And your streams, more recently, since you've been using the same ones that I saw when that was happening, you could not tell. Tabletop, definitely. Yeah.
Because I'm running off my CPU.
Huh. Hey, everybody, you can learn something here.
I mean, I've done some game streaming and I struggle. Oh my goodness, do I struggle? It's because I need a better graphics card, which isn't going to happen anytime soon because there are none.
Screw that. Yeah, no, I've been. Oh, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, that's a completely different. But I had an i5. I had an i5 CPU. I think I had 8 gigabytes of RAM. The most expensive thing actually was my motherboard, and the reason why I spent so much money on my motherboard is because your motherboard is kind of like your nervous system and the veins of your computer, and I wanted it to speak to all the parts as quickly as possible, and that's another thing that people need to think about as well, is how quickly are your parts talking to each other, because that kind of thing can also cause latency and lag issues and also stuttering. And that's what I started streaming with. And I look back at the streams now and my terrible camera quality and the headset, awful, like, I think my headset was like $1 from a dollar store.
Do what you have to do.
That's all you went.
Do what you have to do. But my last video was literally, don't just get a mic. It's the one investment I say you have to make for tabletop streaming.
I was using it for Skype at the time. It was good enough for Skype.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I just said, okay, I'm gonna stream. But my PC that I built was to play some games. I'm not a heavy gamer. I don't need amazing graphics. Like Skyrim is my jam. That's all I need. But I needed a multitasking computer, so I needed my parts to speak quickly to herself. I needed processing power, and I needed RAM. And graphics card was meh.
Yeah.
Now we're sitting with an i9 32 gigabytes. I mean, you know what graphics card I have. I still got the same graphics card. I have an Asus motherboard. And I know its name because I googled it a million times when I had to install my new PSU.
It's about 1.5 years old at this point, right? Well, about a year?
I think
you got it around summer last year, right?
Oh, yes, that's when I had the great meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so yeah.
See, I pay attention sometimes.
Yeah, summer last year. So yeah, it's coming up to 1 year old, my motherboard, and that was the most expensive thing. Once again, I got an SSD now, SSD for my system. I want to get an SSD for my files. My files load quicker because at the moment I'm running off HDDs.
Oh. Previously, before I got this PC, I was running off of all HDDs.
Ouch.
Yes, and you don't realize how much slower everything is working until you start putting your files on an SD. It is
or rendering
night and
to
day.
an SD.
Oh, it is night and day. I didn't even bother rendering on an HD. So like an SD card is definitely something you should get yourself.
When you're editing your videos to go up on YouTube and you're rendering and it takes it's gonna take 8 hours. And you're like, oh well, my computer's useless for a day. And then like you get an SSD and it's like, hi, this 4-hour video is gonna take 30 minutes. And you're like, yes, thank you.
So you said you have the i9, but I don't is that what the standard should be if you're moving into this space? Okay.
Not at all, because I watched this documentary once about not graphics cards, about CPU chips. And basically what they do is they just batch make them and then they look at them and they go, this one's an i6, this one's an i9, this one's an i7. They're all the same. It's just the quality of them. So you can get an i7 and be very happy with it. But I just wanted to future-proof a little bit, which is why. And if you're just if you're not doing animations, if you're not being a fancy pants like me, or Jerry over
I do too much. Hi.
if you're not being extra and you just have static images which are just PNGs or JPEGs, you could probably get away with a really low running what could probably be like a mid-range gaming PC or a low running multimedia PC.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't need to spend lots of money on a PC at all.
Right. And like if your focus is going to be playing tabletop games, the graphics card, I mean, Leoni obviously knows what they're talking about.
I'm the living proof. As I said, I've got a GTX 1070 Ti.
Yeah. And if you were not capable of running a show, you wouldn't work for people like Cypher of Tyr, like that you just wouldn't. Because I don't know if anybody notices this or not. Tanya can pick whoever the fuck Tanya wants. In the tabletop scene.
I'm still shocked.
I hope one day I actually have a conversation with her. That would be wonderful. Tanya's great. I'm a fanboy. Call me whatever you want, but just.
Don't fanboy with Tanya because she won't tolerate that.
I know, that's why I don't. I pay attention to Twitter and I sit back and go, Oh, I can't hear you. What? So, like, an i7 should be fine for people. RAM-wise, I used to run off of 8 gigs. I honestly didn't get my desired effect off of 8. There were certain intervals, like when I started making upgrades to my overlay that became a little animated or more assets and everything like that. I noticed the moment I went from 8 up to 24, I was glorious. No sweat at all. Right now, I have more than I need because that was my intention with buying this PC. More than I need.
More than I need, yeah. That's where I'm at.
So, like, I'm 32. Perfect! More. But in 2021, do you think 8 gigs is actually what they need to start with if their motherboard can support more sticks later
I mean, if
on?
you can support more sticks and that RGB, go for it. I mean, I'm a huge RGB fan. That's keeping my head fit RGB.
I think that's
so
the
many
one way
RGB.
you and I differ. I really don't like RGB.
I have my computer is a rainbow disco. I love it.
I am
I have
the worst
RGB.
gamer.
My Christmas tree is RGB and links up with my headphones. I am that extra. I'm that person.
I'm boring. I'm a terrible gamer. I don't. Yeah, it's just. But yeah,
I mean,
like, everybody has.
I mean, if you're just starting and you've just got a flat image, Hours Lycia overlay, which is showing right now, you need 8. That's it. You just need 8, 6 screens. That's it. That's all you need. A couple of images. That's all you need. 8. And if you're going to start getting like assets, like, okay, you've got 20 million NPCs that you have images for, or you're going to start animating a little bit, or you're going to have your map in the overlay for some reason. Don't know why you do it, but you can. Then go up to maybe go up to 60. But that's good.
Okay.
Budget 8.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna take Leoni's word for it over mine, 100%. So yeah. So last thing, because we are right past that hour mark, we might be wrapping this up a little bit.
Okay.
What would you say is the overall takeaway for somebody starting tabletop streaming, just specifically thinking about either production or overlays? What would be your quick tips?
Okay, my quick tips. I should have really prepared. Then I decided to do like that. My quick tip is make sure you're getting into this for the right reason. Decide if you're a game or production. Find out what your style is. That might take a couple of goes. That's good. Pay your artists and have fun. I know that's like a complete cop-out answer, but just really enjoy it, because you're about to begin a journey that's going to introduce you to a lot of cool people. You're going to tell fantastic stories. You're going to have a wild time. And so just enjoy it, because 6 years ago, I would not be thinking that I would be doing this. 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I was a marketing director working for a point of sale company who sold really overpriced tills to fancy Michelin-starred restaurants. Like, that was me 6 years ago. And now 6 years later, I'm working from the south. I paid to produce TTRPGs for entertainment with 500,000 views. And my computer is all rainbows. Like,
living the dream.
Living the dream. Like, what else do you need or what?
Absolutely. So, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you do enjoy this content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We really do appreciate it. You can check me out live on Twitch over at twitch.tv/ProDMJoey. I will be resuming next week as I am on vacation when this video is going up. Leoni, where can they find you?
So you can probably find me on all social media at Blossom Gadgets, because branding is a thing and I'm pretty good at it. I'm also will be on Gold Heart Gaming, which is my Twitch channel, which is where all these wonderful overlays. We're currently on hiatus because we're doing some housekeeping and we're building some stuff, but we've got some really exciting announcements coming real soon. I've just got some personal business to take care of. And if you're into the Motherlands, follow Motherlands RPG. That's gonna happen. I don't know. As soon as I know, I will tell you. Because it's so good. But you can go watch that over on Cypher Tears channel, and also on Cypher Tears YouTube if you want to see my magnum opus.
And of course, all of your links will be down in the description below alongside mine as well. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, Leoni. Can't wait to talk to you again soon. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for having me.